And hello, everyone, and welcome to Knights Talk. I guess we could call this the Valentine's Day edition. Probably see it after Valentine's Day, but happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. And the Knights of Meaford wrapped up their regular season part of their schedule this past week with two games, one on Thursday night at home to the Bradford Bulls, and the other on Sunday against their nemesis, the Bradford Rattlers. And as you can see, on Wednesday, February 8th, that was in Bradford. The Bulls beat the Knights by a score of 5-0. But and then on the other end of that, the Knights dropped a 8-4 decision to the Rattlers. We've got the highlights of the February 9th game that ended in overtime. Let's take a look at those. And he said he's definitely coming back next year. So.
That'd be great because he's been a real ambassador for Meaford and it really has been quite a find for the...
David Hooper scores! I think that was tipped in front by Callum Queenan.
And then get it down the ice, take some time off the clock. Didn't win that draw, won by the Bulls.
Here's Tyler Quintos, the team's leading scorer for the Bulls. 1:26 remaining in the 5-on-3. Here comes the shot and scores. Number 27, Zach Bacalay. Knights come away with it now. They need to pay back the hard work of Jack Edmonds in that goal. Comes back to Hooper. Hooper shot, that's tipped. Russ out front, shot, scores! Derek Boudreau, and as I said, they needed to pay him back, and they did, Gord.
Oh, they certainly did. Boudreau got that puck right at the slot, and he just buried it. Connor Rannett, the leading scorer, is not in the lineup tonight either, so injuries are becoming a factor.
Puck comes in front, bouncing around. It's loose. Who's coming up with it? Scores! What a shot by number 19, Josh Brunson. Sit, shot! What a save by Garrett Taylor. Comes back to Willie Vernon. Vernon to Nazkoff. Nazkoff works it around, fires, scores! Alexander Nazkoff has scored. And as we said, he was snake bit, and he was due, and he is the hero of tonight's game, scoring in overtime as the Knights of Meaford have defeated the Bradford Bulls by a score of 3-2.
Well, I'll tell you, that Bradford coach better be careful because he's angry, and he's just something else. And Meaford just let it go. But the referees...
And as you can see, the Knights win an exciting battle against the Bradford Bulls by a score of 3-2 in overtime. That game is so important in the standings. The two teams are tied now in the standings with the win that night by Meaford. Now, pretty much the season is done for everyone, but the playoff picture is super cloudy. We really haven't got much of an idea who's playing who until a game on Wednesday night. Bradford Bulls will be taking on the Parry Sound Islanders it's in Bradford. Now, if Parry Sound wins that game, then the Knights will claim 7th spot and Parry Sound will play Meaford in the first round. If the Bulls win that game, then the Bulls will finish ahead of Meaford in 7th spot and Parry Sound will play the Bulls. So New Tecumseth, no idea who they're playing at this point. With the league, the way the league has the playoffs set up, the 9 and 10 teams, West Nipissing and Sagan, will play a one-game playoff. The winner of that will play against the team that finishes 8th, either Meaford or Bradford, and the winner of that will play New Tecumseth in the first round. So South Muskoka, they are penciled in to play against Omagwan, and Bradford will be playing, the Bradford Rattlers will play Temiskaming. So two of the matchups are settled. but the rest depends on tomorrow night's game. So Parry Sound Islanders really, they can decide who they want to play in the first round. If they want to play the Bulls, then they need to lose to the Bulls. Or no, they need to beat the Bulls. This is really confusing. And if they want to play Meaford, then they need to beat the Bulls. So that's the way that's shaping up. So now let's go back to the game on Thursday night in Meaford. Pretty exciting, tight checking game all the way through. 2-2 was the score until about 1 minute 30 seconds remaining in that third period. To me, the most selfish penalty I've seen all season long goes to number 9 on the Bradford Bulls, Frederick Gilsig. Gilsig gets taken into the boards by Alexander Nazkov. It was a good check, good, solid, clean check. Gilsig doesn't like it. He uppercuts Alexander Nazkov to the chin, takes a 5-minute roughing penalty. 1:30 remaining in a 2-2 tie. That's going to leave your team shorthanded right into the overtime, which it did. 30 seconds into the overtime, things got a little bit more confusing. I think the referee was taking the attention away from the game here. But anyway, he may have been right in this call. There was a face-off. I believe it was an icing call. Rule is that Bradford had iced the puck, all right, and they can't change their players that are on the ice. They have to keep those 5 that were on the ice. Number 7, Yanni Walke from the Bulls, was injured on the play. He goes to the bench. He's laying down behind the bench because he had injured his, turned out it was his right ankle. And the referee was insisting that Yanni Walke come back out onto the ice for that face-off. And the coaches adamant that the guy could not come back out onto the ice. Now, I understand from the referee's standpoint, you know, that's the rule. That's what has to happen. In his mind, is the team just playing a game here to get Yanni Walke off the ice? On the other hand, Yanni Walke, in my estimation, is their number 1 defenseman. He played a great game that night. I can't see him faking it, but rules are rules. Anyway, long story short, the coaches get very upset, throwing clipboards, whatever the referee calls, a 2-minute unsportsmanlike bench minor on the team. Now the Bulls are down 2 players, 5-3 power play. Didn't take long for Alexander Nazkov to finish this one off. And it is a shame. Such a good game played all the way through until about, as I said, about a minute and a half remaining in that third period. Great game, but the Knights come out on top. Anyway, so now on Sunday, the Knights go into Bradford against the Rattlers. If the Knights win, the Knights would have clinched 7th spot, but the Rattlers would have nothing to do with that. The Rattlers, on the other hand, needed at least 1 point to clinch home ice advantage for the first round of the playoffs, and they did that by defeating the Knights by a score of 8-4. Connor Annett with a pair of goals in that one. Alexander Nazkov and Ragnar Russ would get singles. So anyway, like I said, very confusing coming up to the end. Let's take a look at the Knights' leading scorers, the final tally for Knights' leading scorers. As you see, Connor Annett had a heck of a season, setting a record for points in a season. He set that a couple of games ago for the Knights. He ended up with 79 points. Alexander Nazkov tied with Annett for the goal-scoring leaders, 33 goals each. Annett coming away with the assist leaders title, if you want to call it that. And as you can see, the rest of the top 10 in scoring for the Knights. And so, again, not much I can tell you on the playoff front. We won't know anything until after Wednesday night's game between the Bradford Bulls and the Parry Sound Islanders. Basically, it's going to be who do the Islanders want to play in that first round of the playoffs. So, I guess now it's time for Meet the Knights. And our guest today is Callum Queenan. Let's hear what Callum had to say to the 10 questions. All right. Well, what were your very first thoughts of Meaford when you arrived here?
It's a small town. The people are friendly. Not that big though, so the hockey team's good as well, so it's good.
Okay. So tell me, what excites you most about being a member of the Meaford Knights?
Oh, I don't know, just first year in Canada, so it's pretty fun. I'm not used to the Canadian experience, so it's good to be in Canada and playing for the Knights.
Okay. And your favorite NHL player?
Probably Crosby.
All right. Favorite leaky canoe meal?
It's got to be the wings.
All right.
Medium and honey garlic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If a teammate is going to play a gag on you in the dressing room, who's the first person you'd look at?
Connor Long.
Connor Long. I've
All
heard
day.
that name quite a few times
Oh,
with
yeah.
that question. All right, and if you had to go to war, which teammate would you want battling alongside of you?
Probably Cole McPherson.
Cole McPherson.
Yeah.
All right. And your future aspirations, that possibly, if it's not hockey, what would you like to do in the future?
I don't know. I can only see me doing hockey, so maybe go to Europe, play hockey in Europe.
All right. And finally, who would you like to say hello to?
Just the family, all out there. The girlfriend. Just the family and the girlfriend, really.
And we want to thank Callum Queenan for taking the time to do that with us. Just before we go, though, Mark, could we take a look at the league's leading scorers? Failed to do that in the first round. I just want to take a look and see if Carl Lydon is still leading. He absolutely is. 42 games. He's got 129 points. Really turned it on since the Christmas break. Reagan Yu up there with 117 points. Only 2 Bradford Rattlers sitting in there now. So, but good mix now coming from both sides, the south, and the north and the south. For most of the season, there was a lot of north players that were in there, but the south are now well represented there. So I think it's safe to say Carl Lydon is going to win the the point scoring championship in the league for this year. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of Knights Talk. I want to thank producer Mark Perry and Jeff Chapman in the control room for doing a great job as usual. We'll be back next week and we should have at least 1 or 2 playoff games in the books by then, and the pitcher will no longer be cloudy. Okay, we'll see you next time on Knights Talk.